Over the past week, I've been busy playing NetherRealm's newest entry into the blood-spilling, gore-filled fighting game series of Mortal Kombat. I've been eagerly waiting to try my hand with the title, and now that I've put a good amount of hours into it, I think I'm ready to give my opinion. So how does Mortal Kombat 1 stack up? Is it the best entry yet, or does it fall flat on its face? Before we get into the review, be sure to subscribe. I talk about dead games in my So What Happened series, explore the weirdest corners of the World Wide Web in my Internet Mystery series, and like this video, I upload individual reviews for games I really love or really despise. If any of that interests you, be sure to join our community. I also have a second channel where I upload livestream highlights, so if you love variety gaming content like reactions or just funny moments, check the link in the description. And if you want to see those live streams live, they happen right here on the main RatedEm channel. With all of that out of the way, let's jump into the review. First, I want to establish that I will not be discussing the campaign in this video. The aim of this video is to more discuss the core game itself and its gameplay as a fighting game, and I might do a dedicated video talking about the stories of MK9, X, 11, and 1, as I haven't played any of them, so there's that. So let's talk about the gameplay. NetherRealm has not changed the basics. It's still a 4-button fighter with a dedicated block button and motion inputs. However, in this title, there is a bigger focus on verticality. Various strings can launch your opponent upwards, allowing you to jump up to meet them and do dedicated air combos. However, some characters thrive in the sky, while others are a menace on the floor. It certainly takes some getting used to, but I don't think it's a terrible decision. Like I said, some characters do better in the air than others, so depending on who you play, your opinion of the bigger focus on verticality may vary. I also want to establish that being in the air is not crucial to combos. Mortal Kombat 1 doesn't go as far to fall into the bracket of an anime fighter, but compared to previous entries, it is a big step forward. Personally, I don't mind it. Another big change is the cameo feature. When you select your character, you pick the one that you play as and one to use as an assist. During the match, you can press a button to summon them and have them do one of 3 moves that can be selected by the direction you're holding when you press the assist button. I really like this addition. It adds an extra layer of depth to combos and even just the neutral game. Other than that, it feels like a pretty standard Mortal Kombat. Iconic characters keep their most famous moves, and they also have some new skills in their arsenal, coupled with the cameo system and the focus on air combat. Even classic characters like Scorpion and Sub-Zero can feel refreshing. The gear system has been scrapped, thank God, and it is now just purely cosmetic. There's also a pretty diverse cast included with the game, with multiple characters having their own gimmicks to them. Although I didn't touch the campaign, I did get to play Invasions, and while it's personally not for me, I can appreciate not only the fact that they added something entirely new to the game, but the work that was put into the game mode. Invasions has a lot of unique elements to it, and I can respect that. I just found it to be not my speed, and I didn't really invest too much time into it. So with all that said, Mortal Kombat 1 is a pretty decent entry into the series. However, there's one thing about the game that really ruins the experience for me. This game on PC is just horrendous. I want to make my point that my setup can run Baldur's Gate 3 at ultra graphics and hit a steady 60 FPS, and the issues I'm going to bring up aren't all too much about performance on specific hardware, but more so the game's optimization on the PC platform. My biggest issue with this game is that menus and cutscenes run at 30 FPS, while the main game runs at 60 FPS. While going from menus to gameplay isn't all too bad, when someone uses their fatal blow and the game halts to a dirty 30 for the cutscene, it is extremely disorienting. The sudden jump down also causes a heavy spike, which I find makes it harder to block the move. This frame spike also affects the beginning of every single match. I've tried changing around the graphics settings, using DLSS, installing the proper drivers, nothing resolves this. My friend who also owns the game on a better PC than mine is also running into these problems. Load times are also atrocious if you're not on an SSD. I understand that an SSD is a lot faster than other kinds of hard drives, but even on lower graphics settings, the game takes an embarrassingly long time to load on a regular hard drive. The game can also look blurry sometimes, in my opinion, and there's also this god-awful, unremovable film grain across the entire game, which is just more sickening to look at. There's also a few gameplay elements that seem to be removed. While there are public King of the Hill games, MK1 matchmakes you with a random group of people also searching for Koth. There isn't a public room list like there has been in other games, which sounds really nitpicky, but if I want to play Koth with friends and randoms so we can all shit talk people together, you kinda can't. NetherRealm also changed rank sets to first to 3 rather than best of 3. Personally, I don't like this change because by the 3rd game I feel burnt out and it gets harder to focus. Best of 3 felt pretty balanced in terms of time spent against the opponent. Another problem the first to 3 format brings up is that if your opponent has a less powerful machine than you, or their connection is laggy, you're stuck dealing with it for longer than you should be. And that's another thing too. If your opponent's PC isn't great, you too will experience frame spikes or just lower frame rates, which is frustrating. Why should I have to suffer because my opponent's PC isn't as good as mine? And while I said that the cast was relatively diverse in gameplay, none of them are brand new characters. Even the cameos are all characters from older games. It makes the roster feel extremely lackluster once you realize it. I think the best way to describe MK1 is that everything on the surface is very polished and interesting, but once you delve into the game, it ends up feeling very half-assed and rushed. Do I think MK1 is bad? No, absolutely not. I would be lying if I said I wasn't having fun. But MK1 is not perfect. I don't know if I'd feel any different if I were on console, but even if the optimization issues were solved, there's still missing features and a pretty lame cast, as well as the graphical annoyances. If you're looking to pick it up, I think you should. It is a good fighting game. But is it a good Mortal Kombat game? Nah.